Hello everyone and welcome back to a live stream / video for the Marvel Champions Living Card Game. We couldn't help ourselves but to talk about Captain America and Green Goblin, two expansions that have been announced for this game that will be releasing shortly after the core set releases at a date that we don't know. But we assume that both Captain America and Green Goblin will be this year easily, right?
Crossing my fingers.
Hold on,
So,
you got anything in your hand?
thank you.
Got you.
So if you're unfamiliar with Champions, there are three types of products that are going to be coming out besides the core set. And the core set's set to release in Q4. We've heard October, early November. But there's the scenario pack, which is like Green Goblin. So that particular scenario pack comes with 2 new scenarios and, of course, the villain that is Green Goblin. We'll be talking about those cards here. The second is a hero pack, which seems like the main thing that's going to get released outside of those scenarios. And the first one we're getting there is Captain America. The second one is Miss
That's
Marvel.
the right choice.
Yep.
That's the right choice.
And those are pretty cool because they actually come with a fully playable deck for the hero focusing on one aspect, but then a play set of cards from every aspect. So you get some cards that anybody can use, and you get for $15 effectively a fully functional deck right off the shelf.
And Captain America's leadership, right?
Captain America's
Right off the
leadership, and I do not think they have said what Miss Marvel is.
So with Captain America, you get the deck, and then from what we understand, essentially they collate into, I think, 59 cards, because there's one card that's like a
standard LCG pack is 60, and then there's one that's like the divider. So the way the core set insert is structured, it looks like they have slots for all your decks, and it comes with a card to do that whole thing with.
So if you have the Captain America card plus 40 cards is the minimum deck for leadership, that's 41 cards. Let's say you take it to 50, that leaves you with essentially 10 slots left.
Yep.
So you could do, depending on how big this Captain America deck is, you could do 3 of a Justice card, 3 of a Protection card, and 3 of an Aggression card, and then 1 neutral card, maybe max per deck 1 or something. Yep. That could get you to 60. Or if it's like a 45 card deck for Captain America, maybe you get a little more of the
Well, we've seen like a lot of max 2, right? In the deck building cards, like the Power Protection and the Power, those kind of cards. So, but that's the hero pack. And that's product type number 2. The third kind is a campaign expansion.
Yeah, the Great Unknown.
We've heard very little about it. We just know that it's called a campaign expansion, really. And we, at this point, basically expect one of those kind of expansions to come out for the rest of the game's history. So Arkham, as an example, which is a cooperative LCG, has scenario packs, campaign expansions, return to campaign expansions, and their main Mythos packs.
So in that sense, you're saying campaign expansions and deluxe expansions, basically the things that kick off the cycle for Arkham, you think are going to be similar to the campaign expansions for Champions?
We've seen a lot, because like with L5R, they have the clan packs, but they also have the premium box, which is like a different level of product. But the kind of main gist of this, though, is that I'm expecting us to get one thing a month in perpetuity. And it's a variety of these kind of things. So
we need 2 a year on campaigns?
I wouldn't be surprised, because the old school LCG scenario, and I hope they up this a little bit. We'll see what they do. But I know we're getting scenario, hero, scenario, because it's Green Goblin, Cap, Miss Marvel, and then Wrecking Crew.
Oh, we know it's Wrecking Crew.
Yeah. They announced that at Gen Con. So I imagine we're going to get 2 to 4 heroes, and then we'll get either a scenario pack or a campaign expansion, because the scenario and campaigns are what you play against. Right. So if all you're getting is hero cards all the time, eventually you're going to want to fight new stuff. So I think the balance of that's actually pretty important.
Right on. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at, Zach's a huge Captain America fan, so we're just going to look at the cards that have been previewed so far and kind of talk over Captain America. We'll do the same thing for Green Goblin, and then we have a subscription service. If you don't know about it, it really is built around LCGs and works extremely well for this format. It's quite simple. You just go to our website, you sign up. Once you have an active subscription, we send you everything that comes out for that game of that product type. So we have a hero pack subscription, scenario pack subscription, campaign expansion subscription, which of course matches up with the releases that Zach mentioned at the start of this video. So tell us which of those types of products that you want, and we send them to you automatically moving forward. You enter your payment information through the secure checkout form. It's stored in a very secure way on Stripe, so it's all tokened up, and it can't be, I guess maybe some industrious, if Stripe got hacked, the whole world would fall down.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's stored in super secure tokens, as secure as anything else that you do. And then a couple of weeks before any of those products come out, we charge that card on file. We ship that expansion to you, and it usually arrives on release day. In the States at least, we ship them according to their delivery timeline from the Postal Service. So if it should get to you in 3 days, we ship it 3 days before the release date. And the idea there is that as many people as possible will be getting these products as soon as they can get them, whereas a lot of other online, dare I say maybe every other online retailer right now, is going to start shipping the product after they have released. So that's a big difference, and if you're into that, then we have a great solution for you in the subscriptions. Find those on our website if you would like. Meantime, before you get Captain America in your hands, subscription or otherwise, let's talk about Cap. Zach, what was your first of all, what was your initial impression? We knew Captain was coming, and this is like your my Submariner is your Captain America. Like this is like your persona. What was your initial reaction to the announcement and kind of the cards that you saw?
Well, I was kind of stepping back a little bit. I was surprised that Captain America was not in the core set.
Random.
Like when they first announced the game, my immediate thought was we were going to see Cap, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Thor, and Hulk. Right? It's like these are in my mind, when I picture the 5 Avengers kind of standing there, like even that game the video game I was telling you about earlier.
Right.
Those are the characters you expect to see. I'm glad they didn't though. Like even as we posted the polls about what we were going to play on stream this week, and it ended up being Captain Marvel and She-Hulk. There's a ton of people that love these characters.
Yeah, they're awesome.
That I've really not seen that much about. But so I was surprised to not see him there. And then when they announced he was the first pack, I was like, okay, of course.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
They got to have someone that like a lot of people are just absolutely going to be.
And then going into Miss Marvel, I think is awesome too. I think that's 100% the right call. That's a really unique hero. It's one that I didn't know a lot about, and
you
as I've
basically
learned
go
more,
from
it's like yes,
the most mainstream to
a little more
another
underground,
like underground,
yeah.
which is cool. I mean, I think part of what's going to make this game awesome is that there's a lot of people that have gotten into Marvel from the movies and not really ever interacted with the comics and whatnot. And so for those people, all the comic book characters are completely new. And so a lot of the allies that we're even seeing are like characters I've seen in cartoons or shows or comics throughout the years. So anyways, but then they announced Captain America, and I think that general reaction was they did an incredible job. I was curious what aspect they'd pair him with. Of course, we learned that it was leadership, which I was not surprised by.
It does make sense, right?
But when you think about the elements of the game, I think Captain can take on all 4 aspects, and I felt like his card really needed to play to that, which he does. So you want to just run him down real quick? I'm going to start with Steve Rogers and then flip over to Cap.
Yeah.
So Steve Rogers, he's got 3 recover, which is not a ton, but it's
actually the lowest. I think by ratio, it might be the lowest that we've seen. I think most of them are batting at 4, even on the 10 hit point, 11 hit point.
I think I want to say is Spider-Man down to 3.
Marvel's a 4 for 12. She-Hulk's a 5 for 15. Is it just divide by 3?
T'Challa's a 4. This
for
is
11,
not the hero
it's a
stat.
max 11 hit points, right?
Yes.
So that's 1 better than Steve.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is you don't take damage, so you don't have to recover.
That's the goal.
Right?
So he's got a hand size of 6, which is normal, hit points 11. He has the ability Living Legend. I love that. Reduce the cost of the first ally played each round by 1, and it's any ally. It can be yours or your friend's.
Disgustingly good.
That's a really good economy, and I really like that like the game forces you to play like Steve Rogers would, which is unselfishly. So in this case, right, it's literally the first ally that comes into play is -1.
Yeah.
There's no choice in that. So it's when you're up, if you have an ally and you want to play 1, it's going to be -1, but you inevitably have to help your friends, which I think is cool. He has a setup ability, which is search your deck and discard pile for Captain America's shield upgrade and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. So your starting hand size is really 7 on the first turn.
You've got to have that shield. You must have that shield the whole time.
And of course, he can flip into Cap side. And he's got 2s down the line, which I think is great for making him playable with most of the aspects, right?
I love that with Black Panther. When I'm playing Black Panther, it's just like,
all the
yes,
2s.
I love the adaptability here.
And his, like we've kind of seen out of the core set heroes, his hand size goes down to 5. It goes down by 1. And he's got an ability, I can do this all day, which is great. Action, discard a card from your hand and ready Captain America, limit once per round.
That's really great. I mean,
yeah.
When you think about a table full of players, I really love the idea that I can attach, I'm playing protection, I can attach my +1 defense to you. Aggression player can attach the +1 attack. So like you can stand and deliver in whatever means you need to do, especially when you go up to 3 on the thwart and then you can stand up and do it again. Being able to do that for 6 is insane. I mean, like that, the value there is pretty tremendous. Just like Black Panther, in a perfectly equal world, always go with your 2 thwart over your 2 attack.
Sure.
Because just the game handles thwarting as a more valuable thing than attacking. So if you get them up to 3 and can start to, it's like, oh, well, Justice makes a lot of sense here.
Well,
like it could also flip into that aspect.
So Justice is really great. If you're playing with Justice, they should upgrade Cap, unless they have a way of standing as effectively. Aggression's good because you can do the +1 attack. So now he can hit for 6 every round. Even Protection, 3 defense, because you can defend and now you would normally be exhausted, go into your round ready.
Yep.
And so he gets to still play the game, basically. He's kind of working across the board. And those are all 3 not leadership, which is what he comes with.
Yeah, it's good adaptability
Yeah.
for sure.
And leadership, of course, has a lot of allies and interactions with allies. So him on his Steve Rogers side, being able to play allies every round for -1 is really strong economy.
You mind giving us the story of Captain Jojimbo or Yojimbo?
The story that I say Captain Jabimbo, or the story of Captain America? Steven loves this story a lot.
It's just a classic young person story.
Yeah, I was going to
right?
wait to reveal this till we were playing with Captain Jabimbo, but I can't do that now. So basically, there's that old side-scrolling video game where you're the Avengers. Yeah, and Iron Man shoots the Cheetos out of his hand. And I was probably like 4 or 5 at the time, and I was playing with my 2 older brothers. And either at the start of the round or when Captain America comes out, I think it's when Cap comes out, he says, Avengers Assemble. Like, Avengers Assemble. And I knew that his name was Captain, right? So
how old were you in this?
I was like 4 or 5, yeah. And so he comes out, and I, along with him, say what he's saying, which of course is Captain Jabimbo. And then the screen pauses, and then my brother Daniel's over here, and he goes, and he says, "What did you say?" And I was like, Captain Jabimbo. And my brother John and Daniel lose it. And then, of course, from then on, Captain America is Captain Jabimbo.
That's so good.
And it's just a thing that I say, which I think is
Man,
funny.
that is just a thing that we do when we're young.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
But it's also worth saying, because his ability goes and gets his shield. So it's hard to even contextualize him without his shield.
Right on. Best art I've seen so far, I got to tell you.
It's so good. The
Captain
sun coming
America's
up.
shield, yeah.
Captain America's shield, 1 cost upgrade. It's got a wild resource in case you want to do that. It's restricted, max 2 restricted cards per player.
Okay, good to know that that's
Captain
a thing,
America gets +1 defense and retaliate 1.
So good.
So assuming you play this on him, he's 3 defense and he retaliates 1 when he defends, right?
And you go protection, you get another +1 defense and a stand when you defend card. I mean,
it's pretty good.
Looks pretty good in protection there.
And for those that have seen the latest Avengers movie, we won't go there. This card's restricted, so max of 2 immediately made me think that we're going to eventually get a Thor's hammer that can go on Cap. Spoiler alert, he gets the hammer in the latest Avengers movie.
Cool.
And in the comics.
I mean, that would make sense. And then maybe the Thor player can decide to play it on Captain instead of yourself.
Thor also has access to other weapons, which is why it's okay that Cap has the hammer for a minute.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'll watch that eventually.
It's good. It's, I think they call it the climax.
What about shield toss?
So this is actually...
Move on.
Let's get out of this topic before I get caned here. So shield toss, 0 cost event. It's attack. It's a superpower. Hero action attack. Discard X cards from your hand, then return Captain America shields from play to your hand. Deal 4 damage to X enemies. So
I
to
think
break
that's
that down,
so good. I can't believe it.
discard 2 cards from your hand, put the shield back into your hand, and you deal 4 damage to 2 different enemies because you discarded 2, which is cool. It's symbolically showing the shield basically bounce off the multiple characters and knock them out or defeat them. So that could be like 4 different characters, 4 different damage, and that makes me think about the Justice card I was just playing. When you defeat someone, you can exhaust it. And
I think it's 1 per. It's probably 1 per. The game is not nearly as breakable as we always want it to be.
You have to exhaust the interrogation.
There's a lot of 3 health minions that I've seen in the game. It just seems like the standard for like your average beefy minion is 3. So being able to clear all of those out is going to be great. Absolutely great.
Yeah, and so I like immediately, right, they start talking about it. I think this is a cool way to design Cap because basically he does all of his best work with his shield, right? That's how he knocks, that's how he blocks, but if a bunch of cards are asking you to do something with a shield, it's going to naturally restrict, which we'll get to. I'm going to find the next one.
Which one you want to talk about?
It disappeared.
That's not possible.
Oh, it's not on the article, so I don't think we'll be able to pull it up. It was from the stream that they did.
Oh, right on.
Called Shield Block. It's a 0-cost event. Interrupt defense. When you would take any amount of damage, exhaust Captain America's shield, prevent all of that damage.
I love it.
So again, it's like you want the shield in play. And you also, there's going to be multiple cards, I'm sure, because we haven't seen all of his signature cards, that are trying to exhaust it to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not only do you need the resources now, but one of his resources that's kind of unique to him is his shield. And so that's going to be just kind of a constant balance point.
I like the idea that you might like exhaust it to do something, shield toss it to put it back in your hand, play it again, and have it ready to exhaust for the block, right? Like if I feel like I'm doing a bunch of crazy stuff with that shield during my turn, that I think will be a good understanding of Captain America has been achieved in this game.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels
100%.
like Cap.
Well, and that's where like I picture, let's say you have something that exhausts the shield to use it right while you're on your turn, and then you have the shield toss where you put it back in your hand to like knock a couple enemies out, and then you get to put the shield back down, and then do it like you do 2 or 3 of those in one round, kind of like I had the blast with Captain Marvel where I was doing all the damage. It's like if I can like knock 3 or 4 dudes out, do a couple damage to the enemy, and also block damage from something all in the same round, I'll feel like Captain America.
That is the Captain America, and you probably are going to need your Avengers Mansions and your efficiency cards to actually get what you need to chain those things out.
Yep.
It feels like it might be that shieldy combo kind of thing, which is nice. What about Falcon? Let's look at this 4-cost Falcon ally, Sam Wilson. Now remember, you can only run one of these in the deck, so that's helpful for like card quantities in the pack. 2 thwart, 2 attack. I love seeing 2 thwart on allies always. It is aerial and an Avenger, and I think we are probably going to see more and more cards that say if you are aerial, do X, or maybe attach this to an aerial character, or things like that.
We've also seen some cards that are Avenger specific.
After Falcon enters play, look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. For each treachery looked at this way, remove 1 threat from a scheme. Very nice.
So he enters play, and you're going to probably remove at least 1 or 2 threat, and you get to see what the cards are.
You can see the cards that are coming down the pipe.
Which is good.
It's really important. So this actually ability, from a game design perspective, I think should just be reveal the top 3, because you essentially have to allow the board to maintain the rules. Because otherwise I could just be like, look at the top 3. Oh, it's 3 treacheries. I mean, you'd eventually be discovered. But I'm just saying. I mean,
I think in a cooperative, it's really fine to reveal
fine.
them. I will say about this card, I love this art. I think that's a very dynamic way to. He could have just been like,
it's great art.
Flying or standing, but he's flying down at you with the buildings rising up behind him. Very cool perspective.
Yeah, nice.
And then next up, this is like classic like art.
Great card.
I feel
There's Ghost Rider in there.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's hanging out there.
In there. That's a surprise Avenger.
Not in the Falcon,
Avengers
but in the
Assemble,
Avengers Assemble. Sorry, yeah, he's like, what am I doing? So I feel like this art deserves to be on a playmat.
Yep.
It just feels
that's
like
playmat
classic
for sure.
Captain Marvel looking awesome there. I also love She-Hulk. She looks huge in this picture.
That's great.
Anyways, Avengers Assemble. Captain Jabimbo.
Thor looks awesome.
By the way,
too.
that's what you have to scream when you play this card.
Oh, absolutely.
Captain Jabimbo. 4-cost. Max 1 per round. Hero action. Ready each Avenger character you control until the end of the phase. Each Avenger character in play gets +1 thwart, +1 attack.
It's going to be a really notable card. It's so good.
Important to note that until the end of phase, each Avenger is not just your own.
Yeah.
So this ready all of your Avengers is yours, but then every Avenger on the board,
including She-Hulk, Captain Marvel, all of the allies.
It just keeps going down.
Look, how many do I have Avengers in here? Is Hawkeye an Avenger in this game?
I
in
think
the ally
he's
form?
got to be.
Hellcat's an Avenger. Look, there's one already.
I have a feeling that we're
everybody an Avenger?
Currently in the Avengers phase of the game.
What was your first clue?
Everything's Avenger, but I think that will change, right?
Yes.
I think the first 4 to 8 packs are going to be Avengers themed, and then we'll move on.
All of the neutrals are shield, so that's cool. They're
That's
all
a shield theme.
Shield spy.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and then Luke is a defender, which is
the
not
defenders
an Avenger.
are a different group,
Let me see
of
if
which
there's
the
any
Hulk
other
was
Avengers.
at some point a part of.
Oh wait, actually, you know what? I want to see what leaderships bring into the table.
Yeah,
in
because
terms
this
of
is
Avengers.
this is a leadership card, so that's how that's going to work.
That makes sense. Vision, of course, is an Avenger. Vision gets nuts with that ability, by the way. Being able to stand Vision, he can go to +2, +1 for there and do it twice.
So he's 4, so he can thwart for 8.
Yeah.
Or attack for a whole bunch.
Yep. Yeah,
that's
Hawkeye's an
pretty good.
Avenger.
Also, how cool is that moment going to be? Like, when I have 2 or 3 allies out, I
gonna
ready
be
them
so
all,
good.
and also I give the whole board +1.
Of course, you've got Hulk. There's a lot of Avengers here. Tiger's an Avenger.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's what they're literally, like, we're in the Avengers phase. I think we're going to get some phases here. Why we're predicting.
That's going to be such a big moment in the game where
That's what I'm
everyone's
saying.
like,
It's
hey,
just so
play all
cool.
your allies, play all your allies. And it's like, all right, let's go. And then you're like, Jabimbo. And
It's going to feel just like that. Jabimbo. Pat, keep going on that one. All right, next up we have Honorary Avenger, which I like a lot. It's a neutral card, 0-cost upgrade. Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait. Attached to a friendly character. Attached character gets +1 hit point and gains the Avenger trait.
I'm glad they gave her the +1 hit point. Otherwise, I would have not liked that card. That's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
+1 makes it nice.
So you target the Avengers as symbol. There's probably future cards that can be used only on Avengers that'll have an impact, etc.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next we have his Obligation, which is Man Out of Time. Great art on this one. I love it quite a bit. Give to the Steve Rogers player. You may flip to alter ego form. Choose exhaust Steve Rogers. Remove Man Out of Time from the game.
Classic.
Or they're getting interesting here. Discard half of the cards in your hand rounded down. Discard this Obligation.
Yep.
So that's the
That's
first
a
time
more
we've seen that.
interesting interaction for sure.
I feel like that second one is something they're going to keep, like
Tweaking?
specifying towards a certain character on like how it messes with them.
Because the trick with those is if they're too bad, that's never a choice.
Yeah.
And if they're not bad enough, then there's never a choice. So you have to make these equal. And I feel like this is the first one that's very clearly like, I could handle having half my cards.
And it's rounded down. So if you're on your Captain America side, you only have 5.
Discard 2.
Discard 2. Not so
That's
bad.
not a big deal.
Yep.
All right. Man out of time. And then we got some Nemesis. You got your Nemesis here. Baron Zemo, Minion Hydra, and Elite. Art is great. 1 scheme, 3 attack, 5 health. While he's engaged with you, you cannot thwart. Very good.
And he's got Quick Strike, so when he does come out, he immediately is going to attack.
For 3. That can ruin days.
Yeah,
right
I also like the 2 things. The quote, to avenge my father, Captain America must die. But the gun he's shooting is actually goes over the card template, and I love when they do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, look at it go.
Like it's just
that's very
clipping over
comic
the
book.
side. Yeah.
I love that.
Big fan.
And then finally got Expert Defense over there?
Yeah.
Tell me what you think
We
about
got-
that.
Yeah. Expert Defense, 0-cost event, defense, hero interrupt defense. When your hero defends against an attack, it gets +3 defense for this attack.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's...
I love cards that you can draw into
And
once
play.
you and then play immediately. I love those so much.
I also, when your hero defends, do you think you have to play that when you declare the defense?
No, so here's what I know. Here's what I know about the way all this works. First of all, hero and player are used interchangeably from what I have discussed with Boggs. So if you take an attack and your ally blocks, technically, I think this would work. Not that it would matter because you're not defending. So whenever Captain America defends either for an ally or for himself, you can use Expert Defense. But I do know that for the purposes of like when X is defending, you can trigger those abilities even if you don't use the defend action, I think.
But my bigger question is, like, let's say we're playing against Claw like we did earlier, and he gets 2 boost cards, and it goes from like a 3 attack to like a 7 attack. Would I have had to play this card on the front end of that? Or
Actually,
can I play that after I've seen that?
That's a good question. I think there's
look
a
up the
timing,
timing chart?
I think there is a timing chart for that. Because when your hero defends, before your hero defends, after your hero defends are all...
Alex on Facebook asking, how does Quick Strike work if you're in Alter Ego mode? So that's one thing I learned is that Quick Strike, you can't be attacked when you're in Alter Ego mode. Period. So if
Just
anything
wouldn't do
would
it,
make
would
an
it?
attack happen, it doesn't happen.
All right, keep going. I'm going to dig
right.
into this manual here.
I think that's all the cap cards. We're going to move on to Green Goblin and check out some of that really quick. But kind of final thesis for me on this, a few things. I'm really happy they decided to include cards from other aspects in a hero pack. I'm sure there's going to be some aspects that I like more than others, so knowing that I'm getting something to use potentially in my deck every month is super nice. And then secondly, I think Captain America is great. They did an incredible job of capturing who he is, and we haven't even seen all of his cards. So I'm really excited to see the rest of the cards and also the new leadership cards we get in the pack. All right, let's check out the Green Goblin. First, we're going to do Norman Osborn. You ready to roll on that? All right. It's stage 1 villain. He's got 2 scheme and a special attack. When he attacks, he gets a forced interrupt. When Norman Osborn would attack, place 1 infamy counter on Criminal Enterprise instead. We'll see what that does in a second. He's a businessman and a genius. Also, force interrupt. When Norman Osborn would take any amount of damage, remove that many infamy counters from Criminal Enterprise instead. So when he would attack, he puts infamy on Criminal Enterprise. And when he is attacked and takes damage, you remove infamy instead.
Sounds kind of shaky.
Yep. Green Goblin, stage 1 on the other side. Hold on.
What?
Okay,
does this
okay.
come out
This is
immediately?
important. This is important. Criminal Enterprise enters play. It does come out, right? Yeah, it's got to come out. Enters play with 2 infamy counters on it per player. If there are no infamy counters here, flip Norman Osborn and Criminal Enterprise. So there's another side to Criminal Enterprise.
So once you remove the infamy, you flip it all over.
This goes over, and he goes into Green Goblin mode.
Okay, random.
So then, in Norman Osborn mode, when he attacks as Norman Osborn, because he's not the villain, you actually just put an infamy on the thing.
Does it flip back over?
I don't know.
Flip back over?
We'll see. But when he, instead of taking damage in this mode, he actually removes infamy from that thing. And when you get the infamy gone, he flips over.
Then you can start to attack him, and then he builds it up, and it's like a shield.
Yeah.
Okay, so the more infamous he is, the worse you're doing.
And then Green Goblin has a special on Scheme, but he has a 3 attack. When revealed, deal 3 indirect damage to each player in hero form. I don't know what indirect damage is.
We can have it. Surely we can figure it out, right?
I assume that's damage you get to put anywhere.
Yeah.
Like in any logical
Like on
game.
allies or spread across, yeah.
Forced to interrupt when
Hopefully
Green.
not on minions.
So when he schemes, he removes a madness counter from State of Madness instead, which I'm going to guess is the other side of Criminal Enterprise. This is quite
You're right.
way less. Yeah, this is cool. This is way more nuanced than the core
I hope
set
it's not
villains.
going Sentinels on us, because that got nuts.
It's actually, I'll kind of give an overview once we get done, because it's actually pretty easy to explain. State of Madness. State of Madness enters play with 2 counters per player on it. If there are no Madness counters here, flip Green Goblin and State of Madness. So he's basically going back and forth from Green Goblin to Norman Osborn. And in Norman Osborn, if he would attack, instead he's removing tokens. He's placing tokens, my bad. And in Green Goblin, instead of scheming, he is placing tokens. And then both of these things, when there aren't any tokens, he flips back over. So
Is this
basically,
going to be like playing Sonic? Or are we going to have to like learn the boss and do all the right
I don't think so.
sequences?
Basically, Norman Osborn schemes and doesn't attack. Green Goblin attacks and doesn't scheme.
Oh, right on.
But when
Okay.
he's doing the thing he doesn't do, he's adding tokens.
Yeah.
So he stays in that mode for longer.
Okay.
And then essentially you're dealing damage to get those gone.
Yeah.
And State of Madness, yeah, that makes sense.
Where's the timing? We didn't get a timing chart in this.
Is that the rules reference guide?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a classic need.
Indirect damage, according to the FFG stream, apparently is damage you can put anywhere.
How did we figure that out?
Yeah, weird. A true man of genius.
All right, Zach, I don't know.
All right, we'll revisit it later.
Was it a response? Maybe it's in the response section.
I do not know. But it's hard to talk about Green Goblin when I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You're good.
Talk. Well, you got the folks out there.
Yeah, I know. We're hanging out, living the dream. You can find it. I'm going to keep reading.
Yeah, tell me more. I'm getting more interested in Green
So-
Goblin than the timing chart at this point.
Yeah, that's right. Basically, I mean, that's pretty cool. It's the first time we've seen an alter ego villain, which is a cool way to start. I think they're kind of flexing what they can do here. And he's basically either scheming or attacking, but he doesn't attack as Norman and he doesn't scheme the other way around. We also get to see his main scheme. Let's see if I have one. I have the B sides, but not the A sides, which is fun.
Did they give us the A sides, you think?
They weren't on the article.
All right.
1B, hostile take. I assume 1A is like put out the madness and the goblin and whatever. 1B, Norman Osborn holds a board meeting plotting to take over a branch of Stark Industries. When completed, place 1 infamy counter on Criminal Enterprise per player, then discard 1 card from each player's deck for each infamy counter on Criminal Enterprise. That could be bad.
I love that there's this infamy counter. We should just do that. We should make some of those.
Yes, infamy is a thing that needs to, write that note down.
BRB.
It starts with 2 threat per player, and then it goes up by 1 per player every round, like you would expect. 2B, if Norman Osborn succeeds, nothing will stand in his way. If this stage is completed, the players lose the game. It's got +1 card. Accelerate, that's +2 per player.
Ooh, that's nasty.
But it starts at 10 per player.
That's still big. That's a serious, and it comes in with 1 per player as well?
Yeah, 1 per player, +2.
That's scary.
And it gives you an extra card at the end of each round. So that's pretty intense. I feel like this is the first. This seems very challenging. They're really doing a lot here.
I'll tell you,
in
the
a good
art
way.
really makes me like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Green Goblin's one of the coolest comic book villains there is, right? Are we all
Kinda.
agreed on that?
He's like Spider-Man's.
It's just
Main
perfect. It's like
cat.
you're not too crazy, weird, powerful. It's kind of like the Riddler to me. Like it's that style of villain where it's just like, man, you're just doing weird stuff all the time. I mean,
Just
you know,
crazy.
we can
He's
beat
almost,
you.
He's
You're
almost
just,
Joker-esque.
he is. He's kind of that Joker Riddler kind of because
He's in the middle. Well, because the thing about it is like, when he's in Green Goblin mode, he's almost possessed by this thing, and so he's willing to do he's willing to murder characters, right?
Sure.
Like he's on that level,
He'll kill.
which is why he kind of reminds me of the Joker, where like the Riddler, yeah, maybe he does, but like it's Joker is literal. He'll like blow up a building,
Right.
Like he's not playing games here. All right, so we're gonna get to the treachery card, Mad Genius. When revealed, Green Goblin attacks the hero with the fewest hit points remaining.
That's cool.
If no attack was made this way, this card gains surge. When revealed is Norman Osborn. Again, that's cool. It's an interplay on the villain side. Discard the top card of your deck for each infamy counter on Criminal Enterprise, which it can be a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
It starts with 8.
Oh my gosh, really?
Well, it's 8 if you have enough players.
If you have 4?
It's 2 per player.
2 per player?
Yeah. So even if you're playing 2 players at 4, if he adds 2 or 3 to that, now it's a 6 or 7. And it's like, oh, 7 cards off the top of your deck.
I do like that is a constant villain mechanic that can be utilized. Just deck the players and they get an extra card and it's garbage.
Yeah, it's not great. But this is, I think, to me, showing the core set villains, right? I think Rhino is very simple intentionally. I think Claw is giving you a little more to deal with, and I think Ultron's pretty crazy. But this is crazy in like a different sort of way, right? It's more nuanced. It's like there's 2 different villains that you're fighting, and the cards in the deck do different things based on what's happening. So there's more to like, do we want him to switch at this point?
This may be the most interesting encounter, and I guess that would make sense that after the core set, you start introducing like, no, we're going to have a real interesting story to tell.
And I think that's really important because a lot of people were concerned that like the basically variety that would be available in the villains was going to be low. But again, we need to recognize that this is just the core set that we've seen.
And if we've seen anything from the cooperative games in the past, the ability to flex a rule set in a cooperative game from Lord of the Rings, and especially once you get to Arkham, it's just like, man, you can have 1,000 different experiences with the same rules tweaked just a little bit.
And they're currently showing that off, right? Next up, we get, of course, the Goblin Glider.
I love that thing.
I love that art. +1 attack, attached to the enemy with the highest printed hit points and without another Goblin Glider attached.
Oh, so there's multiple gliders
not
coming?
unique.
He's got army?
If you cannot, this card gains surge.
Okay.
Hero action, you have to spend 2 energy resources to discard it. So it's a 3 boost, and then it's a +1 attack.
So just a straight up, I'll bet there's a bunch of those in there, wouldn't you think?
I also bet there's cards that get better if the glider's out. Pumpkin Bombs with a special attack attached to the villain. Force response. After the villain attacks you, discard the Pumpkin Bombs and take 2 indirect damage. Hero action, spend 2 physical resources to discard this card, and it's a 2 boost. I doubt you're going to use that much because they have to discard this for it to do anything.
Yeah, you just take the 2 damage, right?
Yeah, but
that's
he's
not
just
a big
throwing
deal.
bombs everywhere, right? And then we get Regenerative Healing, Treachery. When revealed,
That art is so good.
yeah, like see the like dent in his chest. The villain heals X damage, where X is equal to double the villain's stage number. That's cool. If no damage was healed this way, this card gains surge. So on normal mode, it's stage 1 and 2. On expert, it's probably stage 2 and 3.
Yeah.
On stage 3, you flip this, he heals 6. That's pretty good.
That's really nice.
And when you boost with this card, he heals 2. So it's always going to heal him no matter when you get to see it.
Very
and that's
cool.
It. That's all the Goblin cards.
That's just a great little look at the potential that can be explored moving forward with the game. And I think it's very hopeful. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this. And as I'm thinking about the Wrecking Crew, for instance. It's like, how's that going to work? Like, is it one villain that represents all of the crew?
Are we going to get all the crew?
Are we going to get all of the crew? Or do you choose one at the beginning of the game randomly to represent the villain and the rest come out of the encounter deck?
That's pretty cool.
There's a number of different ways to do it. And it's just, as long as you can keep throwing fresh and interesting experiences at players of this game, I think it will continue forever.
And I think that's... the fact that it seems like they're putting as much care into the design of the villains as they do the heroes is really important, because one thing that's super cool about this is that, like, Lord of the Rings, right? The villains in Lord of the Rings are not intended from a story perspective to be multidimensional. Yeah. Sauron is a force of evil. Witch King is a force of evil. Saruman is a force of evil. So in this, though, right, it's like Osborn is Peter Parker's best friend's dad, right? Or I think about Magneto in X-Men, where it's like, yeah, like you're the bad guy and we're trying to stop you, but also you're a person that is really good friends with Professor X, right? So like when the villains come out, right, them spending the energy to make sure that the villains feel very much like the villains. Yeah. Because then
it's not just
also,
numbers.
I feel like the interesting part of that for me on the long tail is, it's one thing with Lord of the Rings when or even Arkham, when you complete an adventure,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, we told the story, I'm less inclined to like, and Arkham's helpful because there's multiple paths to that.
And
Lord
you
of
kind
the
of try to
Rings-
speed run some stuff or try some new builds.
But
you know what's going to happen is the thing.
Yeah.
Really.
So with this though, it's like, hey, do you want to fight against the Green Goblin? Mm-hmm. I don't think that again, it's like they toned back the story a pinch, and the challenge of fighting Green Goblin is always interesting to me.
It's going to be a little bit different every time.
Yeah. But it's like it just there's something about it not being a story that's important there. Which
Yeah,
is
that's
like,
true.
It's like when you're...
It's like a new story every time, rather than having a very strict narrative that's going on.
100%. It's a little more abstract in that way.
Yeah,
so
and
like,
I think the tokens actually play into that really nicely too, which is something that we were looking into through the design process, was like, these have to be generic enough to tell any kind of story, but also the most common types of stories, right? It's like you're probably going to be getting shot at in some capacity, no matter what's going on in the encounter.
Or robberies or whatever.
Yeah, so that's great. So I think there's a lot of legs on this. I mean, I've consistently said that, and I think it's been proven more and more over time. I mean, we've now played every Monday for a while, and then some non-Mondays as well, and I still don't feel exhausted with it, or like I'm not having a good time or being challenged, or I don't even know what's coming out of the decks yet. I mean, I haven't even really thought about that.
Well, and I think this was my first game as Justice. No, I played Iron Man Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was mainly about the lightning bolts.
Yeah. Which this was a lot about the lightning bolts too. We played earlier, but thinking about like Captain America coming out, right? And it's like I'm interested
play
in
all four.
exploring him with all four, right?
Yeah.
And then when Miss Marvel comes out, it's like it's a character I've never really interacted with, so I'm interested in at least playing her some.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna have aspect cards, and it's like all of a sudden, all four of my Captain America decks can get relooked at. Plus, Spider-Man's interesting to me from the core set, and I think over time, it's going to be multiplication, not addition.
Right.
Or like as cards keep coming out, the number of cards I am interested in going back and kind of like revisiting, and the pairings of the way our characters pair, especially in two-player mode.
Makes a big difference. Like if you have Captain America leadership and I also play leadership and I run all of the Avengers,
it's a different experience.
You don't,
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great. You can actually use that Triskelion finally.
Yeah.
Zach, you want to answer some questions? And then, so our plan here, just so you guys know, this is maybe we're taking a break from Champions and moving to Crisis Protocol next week, which is going to be amazing. We're going to have nicely painted models. We're going to have the board ready to go. So it's going to be fun. Even if you're not interested in a miniatures game, I think it's going to be a blast to join us on the stream and actually see the way that it has been manifested onto an actual board and see all the figures and see the different abilities that they have. So if all of that material comes in time, then we'll do Crisis Protocol next Monday. Otherwise, we'll do another Marvel Champions and play some more games. And that, again, like I said, that's not getting old yet, so I will keep doing that.
Yeah, I'll happily do it.
Meantime, if you have any final questions for us, we've got about 10 minutes, and we'll just go ahead and let this video roll out, and we'll answer any questions
So if you have any
folks have.
questions about Marvel Champions, about our subscriptions, about our tokens,
About the Cosmic
or about
line,
life in general,
which you can see here, and we'll be happy to answer them. Do you have anything
I
from...
have one thing to point out. I'm over here looking at the cards, and
Yeah.
I think this is the first villain card that doesn't have the villain's name printed on the bottom.
What does it say on the bottom?
Risky business.
What?
Instead of Green Goblin.
It says Risky Business instead of Green Goblin.
there's two scenarios in the Green Goblin thing. I bet you that Green Goblin is different in those scenarios.
Oh, there's a
called
Risky
Goblin
Business
Gimmicks.
Green Goblin, and then there's...
Goblin Gimmicks.
Okay. So out of the core set, it's just like, it's the core set experience with these villains, and then out of Green Goblin, it's the villain changes based on your two scenarios that you might be playing. So you pull the Green Goblin from Risky Business or the other scenario, rather than having one that works for both.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Well, that's all.
Could be the case.
all hearsay, but I thought it was interesting to point
A lot of speculation there. I like speculation.
We'll see, right? But
Yeah.
again, I think that one of the major upsides to a cooperative game, and you mentioned this earlier with Lord of the Rings and Arkham, but is how much they can just rewrite the rules for a scenario or for, I mean, I'm insanely impressed with Arkham every time I hear about the scenarios that people end up talking about.
Yeah.
Like the train one was notable up front where
Yeah,
people are like,
yeah.
it feels like it's crazy
Then
what
the
they're doing.
snakes are garbage. The one thing I did want to say is I think we've got a pretty strong idea for chaining at least 3 villains together, which I think
That was a great idea.
the simplest solution here is you take Claw 1, 2, 3, Rhino 1, 2, 3, and Ultron 1, 2, 3, You randomly choose one of those. So like one of the villains will be in its 1 stage, one will be in its 2 stage, one will be in its 3 stage, or you can collate them how you want. And then you play 1, 2, 3 right in a row. So you have 3 instead of 2 villains that you have to work through. And maybe you start with Ultron 1 and then go to Rhino 2 and then Claw 3 and see if you can beat 3 villain forms. And I think the key is going to be you have those 3 different decks built.
Yeah.
Like you said, I like that
With
addition.
a modular set, yeah.
So you got your Rhino deck built with 1 modular, you've got your Claw with 1 modular, and you've got your Ultron with 1 modular. And then depending on the 1 version that you start with, that's your encounter deck. And then when you flip to the second one, you switch into the new villains encounter deck. Now, if there's things on the board that require certain interactions from a previous set of cards, then maybe you make that work. But
There's
like
very
Masters
little
of
of that,
Evil,
right?
or yeah,
It's like you maybe have drones out, so the environment that Ultron has stays in place, so they all exist.
Yeah.
But it's just minions and side schemes and whatnot. But I think the third, having to go through 3 villains, it's really cool to me the idea of fighting 3 villains in the same session.
3 villains would have been very deadly to us.
Eventually, depending on how they work, right? It's like you might have 10 stage 1 villains, 10 and 10, and it's like we don't know which stage we're getting of any villain, and we have to have all 10 decks ready. So it's like, Claw happened to pop out, and here's the deck, and here we go.
The thing we haven't solved is we don't know how we're going to do the main schemes. That's the real question.
There's some questions and some statements. Lego Stop Motion Productions says,
Cool.
I subbed.
Ah, great.
Awesome. We really appreciate it.
I'm glad. I hope you're getting everything. It's a good service. It's really good.
Yeah. Next is the game Thief. With the pre-order, do we prepay or are we charged when it ships?
So for the actual core set pre-orders, it's a standard pre-order, so you'll prepay. For all of our subscriptions, you don't prepay. That's why subscriptions are awesome. So you will have to pre-order the core set standard. It's 20% off. You get the strategy guide whenever the game releases, and we're going to send that to you in PDF form. But then moving forward, all products past that, if you're subscribed to those products, you don't have to prepay ahead of time for any of that stuff. So you get charged about 2 weeks before the release date. That happens automatically, and then 2 weeks later you get the product. So that's one of the big advantages it has over a traditional pre-order from other online retailers, is that you don't have to put that money down up front and then wait for what could be a very long time depending on FFG's release schedule.
Well, and another important part is, like earlier someone was talking about the Green Goblin pack disappeared from the upcoming page on FFG. So there's no telling when or what order these products come out in. So you don't have to place the pre-order in the first place, but a lot of times, because we do this too, if you pre-order multiple products at the same time, we don't ship them until everything's ready.
Right.
But with a subscription, whatever comes in just automatically ships.
Yeah.
So none of that weird, like you're waiting for several weeks on this.
It goes right out.
I had another one.
It's a really great service also. We've been doing this for 7 years now.
This is a good question. You ready for this? What are we at? It's been 8 years, 8 or 9 years. Anyways,
8 years of subs is crazy.
that's a long
So
time.
amazing.
Do you think that they will ever add, this comes from Thomas, another aspect? And if so, what do you think the aspect would be? That's hard. I need to look up a words.
Truth?
Truth. Now that would get me everywhere.
Honor?
Like cosmic or universal. I don't know. There could be a really powerful, like weird
Time?
Silver Surfer kind of thing.
Do
Time would be
the Doctor
interesting.
Strange time element?
Yeah, or magic. But that's going to be in the signature cards. I mean, I think the sign of a well-designed game is going to be that they don't have to add an aspect. I mean, they haven't had to do that in Arkham.
Yeah.
Have they done that in Lord of the Rings? They haven't, right? It's just the 4 still.
I don't think that an aspect. I mean, the aspects to me seem, it's almost like having the 4 elements.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's why I went time. So maybe you have a void style, like some kind of 5th element.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I wouldn't foresee that for a very long time. If they're going to do that.
And if they did, it would be that weird scenario, because we've seen this with like Thrones where they add a house late, and it's like they have way less cards, and so then it's always kind of a weird
a little awkward.
How do you think organized play will work for this game?
So the first thing, I don't think it needs any organized play. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I get it. I mean, but it doesn't, like, if you're telling me, do I need a playmat on the line or a custom token on the line at my local store to go play a cooperative game? It's like, just don't. Don't do any of it. Let us just play and figure out how we want to have fun with the game.
That's not what matters to me about organized play. What I really like is the Arkham scenario where you can play with like up to 12 people or something.
Now that's cool.
So when they print a product that is intended for a group to play at a local store, that's what I want out of organized play. So like if once a month they had here's a scenario deck that's coming out, and it's like you can order up to 4 of them as a store, and literally each one supports 12 players. And it's like now you can have 50, like that kind of a thing.
I do like that kind of stuff, yeah.
I think I'm all about it. I mean, if there's playmats or whatever, that's fine. I don't care. But to me, like the Arkham strength on their organized play is always the introduction of a scenario that no one's seen, they're all experiencing for the first time. And it's like, with Avengers, right? I mean, at some point we're going to have 20, 30 heroes. And it's like, it'd be pretty cool. We all played a different hero and we're all playing the same game.
But the other piece of this is like, this is where the local environment or local play groups have full license to do that exact thing. We don't need FFG to come down from the mountain and say, here's a way you could have fun with this game, right? It's like, your local stores need to be, like, we're already thinking about how to run Champions organized play events. It has nothing to do with what they're sending or what they're planning to package together. So it's like, just think about how you want to engage your players. I mean, and then do it. This is the game to do it. Like, you don't need any reason to play except for fun. So can you do things that make the game even more fun?
Yeah.
I think there's some answers to that.
Well, and I think players will come up with a lot of ways to do that as well.
Of course.
So this is another good question. Ryan Rohan asking, was Cap expected at the same time as launch if subscribed along with pre-ordering the core? So we do not expect anything to come out along with the core except for the core set in terms of actual packages of like the cards and products and whatnot. So if you order a core set and sign up for subscriptions, we're expecting the core set to ship first. That would be funny if it didn't. And then sometime after that, we'll probably get the current expectation is Green Goblin scenario. And then sometime after that is Captain America. And I assume they'll flow right into like a monthly release schedule, core set, followed by the rest of the stuff coming out.
It's what it's looking like, at least, from what we know.
Yeah.
We're right on. You want to take one more? Is there anything else?
That's it. All right. Final call for questions. I don't have any more currently, but I'm going to do one last call, and then we're going to get out of here while we sort some cards.
This has been great. We really appreciate everybody being a part of this and joining us as we kind of do this initial exploration of Marvel Champions. It's obviously a privilege for us to have access to these cards. So
huge shout out to FFG for getting to us.
Yeah, thanks for giving us the cards to FFG. That was really nice. And then for everybody watching, we hope that we came into this series trying to make sure that everybody could make a really nicely informed decision as to whether or not this is a game that you want to invest in, especially right off the bat. And hopefully gave you some good avenues to do that with the core set, pre-orders, and the strategy guide. So if you did want to get in, the idea is we can make that as easy for you as possible. And that's what the series was all about. So thanks for joining us on this. Like I said, we will do Crisis Protocol next week, assuming it comes in, or we'll do Marvel Champions. We'll get that out on social as soon as we know which one of those we're going to be doing. And I would encourage everybody to join us, even just to hang out and chat on the Crisis Protocol stream as well, and just see how that game's going to work, because I think that's also a fascinating exploration of this universe, and I'm curious how they're going to do all of the different interactions and make the heroes feel like the heroes on an actual game board, which is a little bit more difficult in some ways and maybe a little bit easier in others. Any final questions?
Last question. How long do you expect a 4-player game to take?
I mean, realistically, I think you're looking at least 2 hours.
I have a feeling that it'll be 2.5 hours for a 4-player game. It also depends on how much social elements there are, right? Like, how are you taking breaks? Are people chatting? You getting lost in conversation, kind of a thing. And if that's happening, maybe 2.5, 3 hours.
And that's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's what we do it for. I mean, that's the whole thing. So finally, just to make sure, in case you missed it in any number of 17 videos that you've hopefully already watched, we're pre-selling the core sets right now. Anyone who pre-orders that is 20% off, and it's going to include a free strategy guide that we are in the middle of developing right now.
And we're running out of those.
Yeah.
And the timeline's running out on those.
Yeah, the
all
core
the
set's
things
crunching down. So if you want to go ahead and jump into that, that's available for you. The strategy guide will go out on release. We'll send you that PDF, so you'll be right up to speed from day one with the game and learn a lot of the lessons that we learned the hard way here, like a hero action and an alter ego action are very different. Don't forget those two words.
They are very different.
And then secondarily, we've got subscriptions for all the future product types for this game. And if there's ever an additional product type offered, we'll offer a subscription for that as well. And the idea there is we want to make it as convenient and easy as possible for you to just know that you're getting every product that you want for this game and not have to worry about it ever again. We grew up playing games together and having to go through the pre-order shuffle and hoping we get the products and trying to figure out what's releasing next and what we need and all of that. So we developed subs whenever the LCG format came out to basically solve that problem for everybody. So if you want to do that, please do. We'd love to have you, and we treat that very seriously and get all those products to you as close to release as we can, usually hitting release date. Like I say all the time, 91% is our current number of deliveries on release from our subscription service. And then finally, you're seeing some remnants of the Cosmic token line that we just launched late last week. These are the Cosmic boards here, as you can see. They hold tokens and cards, mainly the meaningful cards in the game, and then they are basically helped out by a huge number of stylistic and narrative-driven tokens that are actually giving certain scenes life in the game. So especially the threat, there's 6 unique threat tokens, so
and
12.
the villain health tokens.
12 unique threat designs, all kind of giving you a sense of the real threat that's happening on the table. Same thing with the hero, starts out very healthy and terrifying looking and kind of gets diminished over time based on the personified forms on those tokens. And then your hero with the damage tokens and various statuses, first player tokens slotting right in. And all of those are a great way to keep the focus on really the kind of the protagonist and the main antagonist. And then all of the little minions and stuff kind of look the part as you would expect, where it's like, yeah, this is an annoyance. Like in an Avengers movie or something. Like,
yeah, they're just kind of around.
You're
right?
never like, oh no, this is going to be in a Captain America. Melter's here, you know. It's like, it's one of those things where, you kind of put things on the board in the way that the story would actually put them in the narrative, which is the whole point of the game, is to just sink in, dive in, have a great time, and really enhance that experience as much as we can. So, Zach, that's it. You got anything to say?
Not really. I mean, everyone that's been following along and watching the videos and commenting and sharing our content and stuff, really appreciate it. And of course, everyone that's pre-ordered, signed up for a subscription, and already bought the tokens. It means the world to us. We couldn't do any of this without all of you guys. So really appreciate it. And hopefully we will get to stream some more Champions before it comes out. And if not, we'll definitely be streaming some Champions when it comes out.
We'll give it a shot. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, keep playing and start playing Marvel Champions.